Welcome to the Enduro Method podcast. Josh Rempel here today with Dan Tony.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about what's in your gym bag, or potentially what could be beneficial to be in a gym bag.
Or what's a waste of money.
Yeah. So kind of what you make sense to kind of carry around with you and have on hand when you're at the gym or if you're out in the garage or whatever. But kind of some good items maybe to look to purchasing, acquiring, and maybe some that might not be as useful.
Yep.
All right, starting off with the first item would be shoes.
Most likely need shoes.
Yeah, I would say shoes are probably the most important item out of all the things we're going to cover today.
Besides yourself.
Well, yeah. But as
And
far as
good
things,
attitude.
as far as things you might be carrying around with you or looking to buy, because shoes also wear out. So I don't know. I'm kind of around the 6 month at the latest plan for a new pair of gym shoes. What about you?
I've had pairs for years. Although I use new shoes as an excuse to get new shoes.
Yeah, you have pairs for years, but you use them for like 3 months.
Maybe.
But just like tires on a bike, they'll wear out. They'll get too squishy. They'll lose some support. All those things. So it's definitely, especially, and we kind of jumped around a little bit, especially on like a running shoe type thing, they definitely wear out and support gives way. So
yeah, one thing I want to add before moving forward is like all these things that we talk about, anything that we stress as important, like none of these items should ever be used as an excuse for you to not work out.
true.
You can work out in your moto boots, like
Flip-flops,
no shoes, socks, like
yeah,
you really can. So don't let this bar you from actually working out.
yeah, that's a good point. But if you are in the market for a new pair of shoes,
Or if you need a little extra motivation, new shoes definitely help.
yeah. But getting a pair of shoes that's very versatile. Like I have in the past had multiple shoes for different portions of the workout. And sometimes that can be important when you're doing stuff like Olympic lifting versus box jumps versus running long distance, right? So there's different shoes serve different purposes, but I prefer to have a shoe that can kind of do it all. And
you're not training for CrossFit anymore.
exactly, but there are reasons to have a quiver of shoes, if you will. But there's also reasons just to have one pair of shoes that you use for everything. It's definitely easier. And with that,
our recommendation would be one pair of shoes.
And going the route of like getting I hate to say CrossFit shoe, but something like that is really best bet. Like they make really good shoes that are very versatile.
Yeah, I mean, so when people start here at our gym, they ask, what kind of shoes do I need? And I'm always of the mindset of any sort of like, almost like a minimalist shoe is what we've seen to be the best shoe for a gym. Either whether that be a garage gym or this gym, any gym. But also one that's not super minimalist that you can like go out and run. So you can like do some air squats and your feet are grounded to the floor, and then you can go out and run and not feel every pebble underneath your shoe. So like any sort of like, I mean, nowadays, if you were to just Google gym shoes, I mean, you got Nike making them, you got Reebok making them, New Balance makes them. I mean, there's all, Innovate makes them, Noble makes them. I'm trying to think of other gym shoe companies right off the top of my head. But they're all pretty comparable.
Yeah,
it depends on what, like, if you have a wide foot, narrow foot.
What brand kind of fits your foot best. But one of the couple things that those shoes all have in common is they're a little bit lower profile. So you're not as high off the ground as you would be in like a running shoe. The sole is it's nice and flat. So you get really good solid ground contact through your whole foot. sometimes running shoes tend to roll you to inside outside heel. Like you'll know if you start paying attention to that, you actually kind of get pushed to weighting your foot differently. But like Dane said, they're not so thin that if you go out and run on gravel, you get bruised foot from those odd pieces of rock that punch through.
Yeah.
So it's not like Vibram 5 fingers.
Which I definitely used to wear.
Yeah.
Only when they very first came out, and not many people had them.
And then it's not like the super fat, like Hoka's shoes, running shoes. Hoka. Yeah, moon shoes. But it's not that those shoes don't have their place as well. So.
Yeah, so, like for instance, I have a pair of Nobles. I also have a pair of, oh my god, I've gone through the gamut. But Nobles, Reeboks, and Nike Metcons have always been on my in my gym shoe repertoire. And then I do have a pair of the Hokas for running, specifically, just because I have low back issues. So a lot of impact isn't, I find, is if I can just add one element that maybe makes impact better, then might as well run in the cushion shoes. But I definitely try not to, like, my workouts mostly running, then I'll wear the shoes. Or if it's all running, definitely wear the Hoka shoes. But if my if my workout is not at all running, there's no reason for me to wear those Hoka shoes.
Yeah.
So yeah, low profile gym shoe, more cushion for running if that's your jam. We also have people here that really like to run with like the ultra shoes are 0 drop, so it's the same distance heel to toe. Some people prefer that. Personally, I find that my calves explode. I've got some tight calves, so that makes them more explosive. Not in a good way. But really just finding what's best for you. But just a minimal low profile shoe. Then I know you want to talk about Oli shoes.
Well, just in the context that so Olympic lifting shoes have a higher heel, anywhere usually from 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch taller in the back, which if you have super limited ankle range of motion can greatly increase your positions in something like, say, a deep squat. So when you're doing Olympic lifting, which is basically the snatch and clean and jerk and then variations of that, using that shoe can it is very beneficial. In a CrossFit setting, you'll see a lot of athletes wear them for training and sometimes in competition, but from a non-competitive perspective, as far as gym is not the reason we're training, like gym numbers specifically, unless you have a very limited range of motion in the squat, I wouldn't necessarily see a need to use Olympic lifting shoes.
And mind you, we do not do Olympic lifting in Enduro Method.
No, but it could potentially help your squat position.
Right.
Front squat, back squat, all those things.
So, like, if you really wanted to blow it out of the park and buy some new shoes and your squat, you struggle. Like, I'll wear them for squats, and that's pretty much it. Because I'm in a better position in the bottom of the squat with the shoes on.
Right.
However, most people, I just simply elevate their heels with a small wedge. Yep. And you can easily do that with 2 5-pound plates, anything like that.
Yeah, piece of 3/4 inch plywood. Yep. Set your heels on that when you squat.
Yep.
That works pretty well.
Way cheaper than a pair of Olympic lifting shoes.
Right. And then you can just leave your shoes on and get rid of the board for the conditioning part.
Yeah. But they are a workout shoe, so we definitely wanted to cover them. Or in case you ever in a gym and you see people wearing funky shoes, you're wondering why they are wearing those funky shoes. That like, they kind of like you walk on the ground and they're like, cocoon, 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 because they don't actually like roll at all. It's like a board. But anyways, those are the shoes. The shoes what we recommend are just a minimalist shoe. Minimalist gym shoe.
Minimalist gym shoe. Yeah, it's not quite like you'll see. I think it's Vivo Barefoot makes a minimalist shoe. That's not what we're talking about.
Just
We're
a gym shoe.
talking about a gym shoe like a Reebok Nano or a Nike Metcon.
Yep.
Innovate, whatever they make. I'm not sure the model number, or name.
Recommendation.
Yeah. All right, so that would be first item in gym bag.
Yep. Gotta need your shoes.
So either 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 pair, but
whatever your fancy is, one for each of the week, day of the week.
Next one, and there's a bunch in here that kind of go together, but weight belt. What do you think of weight belts?
I mean, I think it's not an essential element to going to the gym. I think they can be helpful sometimes, but do you need them to work out? Absolutely not.
Right.
And do you even know how to use it?
Correct.
Would be the other thing. I don't even know if I know how to use it right. So, I mean,
and if you're
I just think that's like in my opinion, I think that's no. You do not need a weight belt.
Yeah, I think potentially people can benefit from weight belts. There's a reason they're out there. There's a reason why people use them in competitions, and that's to lift the most amount of weight absolutely possible. My thought would be, is it necessary for your goals? And most likely it's not. If anything, sometimes it becomes a crutch or a mental crutch long before it's actually really needed. Potentially if you've had injury or are at risk of injury, I guess there's a purpose, but then again, my question would be, why are you lifting heavy enough to put yourself in that position anyways?
Yeah.
So,
your core is your weight belt.
Yeah, I think it's one of those like things in the beginning, you see it a lot, you see other people doing it. People talk and say it helps, but I think the longer you're around it, the more you're in it. Me personally, I've gone away from all accessories.
Yeah, I mean, I think it obviously serves a purpose, but for the people that we're probably talking to, no.
Right.
Unless you're some power lifter out there and you're listening, send us a DM. Give us the hate on the weightlifting belts.
Yeah. I would say for the most part, drop to a weight that you're comfortable not lifting that with a weight belt, because we're not
get confident in that and then progress from there.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wearing a weight belt on the bike, you're not wearing a weight belt to pick the bike up, so why would you wear one in the gym?
There you go.
Yeah. Knee sleeves.
Knee sleeves are interesting. I know we have people at our gym that wear them and love them. Honestly, some even wear them for just like kneeling purposes, just to give an extra piece of barrier between their knee and the ground. I think that's an individual thing. Personally, I don't like them just because the ones that I specifically have are, in my opinion, maybe too thick to wear when I squat. They kind of well, you know what? No, mine are good. I just am too lazy. I don't wear them. I forget about them. But if I would remember to put them on for lunges, I like lunging with them. I think that's great. I like being warm, especially here in Idaho. It is now freezing. To be 37 degrees to be exact, and it's not even freezing, but I'm cold and our gym is cold, so the warming element is appealing to me. I think it's good for support. If you have knee problems, maybe try them. They're not too expensive. The compression and stuff is good for people with knee issues, but you got to be wary of the thickness. The really thick ones, I don't like the way that they feel in the back of my knee in a squat. It's almost like you're shoving a towel in a door hinge.
Yeah, there's a lot of material back there.
Yeah, which I don't necessarily like, but I don't know. That one kind of sits in the middle of the road for me. I know people that really like them and like the way it makes their knees feel, and they choose to work out in them. Is it a necessity? Absolutely not. Would it maybe make working out in the morning when it's cold in your garage better? Maybe.
Yeah, I think it'd be very individual. Some people you might gain a little bit of stability from it. You might gain a little bit of warmth, keep the joint warm. I do agree that there's in the bottom of the squat, if you're going all the way down, depending on the thickness of the knee sleeves, too much material back there. And if you don't have any of those stability issues, yeah, I don't see too much of a point. I'm same. I have a pair. I don't wear them ever anymore. I've used them at brief stints during the past. Lunging would be an example, but if I'm in the gym, I don't even worry about it. It's only if I go outside in the gravel that I've kind of put them on for that. I've actually put them on and kept them around my calf to protect my shin probably more than I've used them for my knee, so I don't get bar scrapes on it.
Yeah, I think they make like all sorts of different thicknesses now, though, because I know a couple people at our gym have like some really thin ones that might be worth checking out. But if you've got knee issues, maybe that's something to look into.
Yeah, I mean they do offer a little bit of stability.
Yeah, it's definitely not gonna solve any problems. It's more gonna like be a comfortability thing. But if you have knee problems, it's not going to make your knee problems go away.
Correct. Wrist straps to me would fall in the same category as knee sleeves, basically everything we just said. Typically, wrist straps come more into play if you're doing a lot of overhead bar work.
Like I was just saying, the only time I've ever used wrist straps is in an overhead squat, which we don't do anymore. So.
And sometimes, but not often. And the other part of that would be a front rack and a front squat, where you get complaints about the wrist. But
I
usually those are mechanical, and as soon as your front rack gets sorted out, your wrist will not hurt.
Yeah. I think of people that may have vulnerabilities in their wrists that have maybe been broken, especially if we're talking to dirt bikers. It might be worthwhile, like if you have a hard time in a push-up position, although, like, okay, if push-ups hurt you, my first inclination would be to put your hands on dumbbells and put you more in that neutral grip position rather than, like, where you can't see me, but I'm making a fist versus your palm flat on the ground, where your wrist is stacked on top of your hand versus where your hand is flat on the ground. It's in a flex position, which requires more range of motion. So if wrist wraps allow you to perform more movements comfortably, go for it. But like I was just saying with the knee sleeves, it's not going to solve anything.
Right.
I think.
And if you're in a place where by not using the wrist wraps, you can gain mobility and gain strength, and the pain eventually will go away, then you're better off doing that than just covering it up with a Band-Aid to where you always have. I mean, that's the same argument.
Go back and forth, though.
Yes, but that's a similar argument I would make with a weight belt and sometimes knee sleeves, that you're, instead of actually trying to figure out what hurts, why it hurts, and making some changes to fix it, you're just kind of covering it up to make it feel better.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Tape. Athletic tape.
Maybe if you got a cut.
I don't know. I usually carry tape around with me. I can shred the inside of my thumb on a barbell if it's got a big knurling, and knurling's like the indentations on the bar. So if the bar is really rough, I don't know, I'll tape up fingers every now and then if they've got a big callus that might rip, if we're doing a lot of pull-ups or toes to bar or something. So that's worthwhile. Tape would fall in the same category as like grips. They make a lot of that now at CrossFit, where you can kind of like gymnastics grips, where you can put your fingers through some holes and it straps around the wrist, and you have a big leather piece that kind of protects your palm. We don't do a whole lot of that kipping style CrossFit stuff in Enduro Method, but potentially if you had really tender hands,
I was gonna say, like,
it might be worthwhile.
If you were a massage therapist and you weren't allowed to have calluses or something.
Yeah.
Although you could just tell your clients that it's exfoliation, you're welcome.
So tape's worthwhile. I don't see too much point of having grips. and that will go into gloves. The only time I ever wear gloves is if I'm sitting on the rower for like 60 minutes, because the handle, I'll actually get blisters from the handle. But for the most part, if you ride dirt bikes, the weight room's probably not going to ruin your hands.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never worn gloves. I mean, our calluses are massive from dirt biking and the gym, so I can't say I've never not had calluses on my hands.
Yeah, I've only, like I said, used gloves specifically if I'm doing like long rows.
I think of ripping my hands actually on a dirt bike. There, I would tape my hands for the gym.
Yeah.
I've had big holes in my hands from racing. More of the back when I did a hare and hound.
Yeah. Let's see. We got clock, watch, timer, or whiteboard.
Yes, this is very important, I think.
Yeah, and I think we take it for granted because we have a gym with a clock on the wall.
So, clock is very important. That can be a watch. It can be your phone. There's my favorite app I use for myself and with my clients is Push Press Timer. It's really easy to set up intervals, and it beeps at you and tells you good job, which is a little annoying and you can turn off, but it beeps at you. It gives you a 3-second countdown. But any sort of interval timer app, I think is super helpful. If I have an Apple Watch, so it buzzes on my arm every time. But I think that that's actually something that I forget about. We have a clock at the gym, and we can set it up to whatever we want. But working out maybe in a Globo gym or in your garage or whatever, not here in our gym, making sure that you have some sort of timing apparatus for sure.
Yeah, super important. I mean, most of what we do has some kind of time reference to it as you go through.
Yeah.
So having something that's easily accessible, viewable, and
easy to use.
Yeah, repeatable, basically.
The whiteboard, too.
Yeah, I still use a whiteboard. Again, obviously, we have some on the walls here at the gym, but I don't like looking at my phone every 5 minutes, so I'll use the app and then write it down, and then I have the whole workout in front of me.
Yeah.
And I've always done that. I mean, I just prefer it that way. It's not always doable, I'm sure, for everybody, but you could also print it out before you go to the gym and have a sheet of paper instead. But if the phone works, great.
Yeah. I'm the same way. We write it. We even have little whiteboard cutouts, and I'll just write it on that sometimes. That way I can take it with me. But I think writing it down rather than referring to my phone over and over and over again is most efficient for myself.
Yeah. Chalk.
Chalk is more of in my opinion, a convenience factor.
Yeah, and it's definitely dependent on where you work out.
Yeah, I think some places definitely don't allow it.
Yeah, but what I would say is they do make liquid chalk now, which is kind of cool. So it's like a roll-on, and it's dry.
I've never liked it, but
it might be better than nothing though. Like if you're at a gym that doesn't allow regular chalk, having that in your gym bag might be.
I can just imagine doing those. We were doing those dead hangs the other day.
Yeah.
We were in part of the Enduro Method programming. We were doing some 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off of dead hang. Just talking about chalk and imagining doing that in some hot, humid place where you're all sweaty.
I know.
Slipping off the bar.
Yeah. Chalk's definitely convenience, but if it's, it might be, there are ways around it than getting the super messy stuff. Water bottle, carrying around some water.
Sure. Just keeps you hydrated.
Yeah. Pre-workout, post-workout in your gym bag.
If you're getting serious, get your pre-workout on. I don't know. I feel like this we're really stereotyped on the pre-workout stuff.
Yeah, I don't personally use it.
We don't use it. There is good research backing up caffeine.
Oh, but the problem with that is it's only if you really don't take in that much caffeine anyways. Like the only way caffeine works as a pre-workout supplement is if you're very limited or almost no use of caffeine to begin with. So even if you have 1 to 2 cups of coffee every day, caffeine as a stimulant is basically worthless.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So it's there's a lot of stuff out there about that. I mean, you got to basically cut your caffeine intake to only pre-workout if you want it to be beneficial for that specifically.
The way I would use pre-workout is a motivational tool. Shit, I'm drinking my pre-workout. I better go work out.
Yeah, no, and there could definitely be something
or if it's
to
like exciting for you.
Yeah, the ritual of it.
Actually, the beta-alanine, I don't know if you listened to that Joe Rogan, Matt Fraser podcast, but there is good research on beta-alanine.
I've done beta-alanine.
I have too. Personally, don't like it. It makes my ears itch and hot. But
it's nice.
That was beta-alanine.
No, I know it's never mind.
But there is good research on that.
Yeah.
And Matt Fraser, for example. But anyways.
But on the yes. But you're not going to take beta-alanine and then all of a sudden be a superstar.
No.
No. So if it makes you
maybe if you're
go
on the
work
cusp.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it helps you work out, take it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would say post-workout is, maybe creeping up to more importance. Taking a whey protein to help with recovery. Not essential, but,
yeah,
not bad.
It would definitely fall in the category of workout regardless of whether you have a post-workout shake or not.
Oh, for sure. I think all of this is.
Yeah. And then if you do have one, great. But if it's not essential.
No.
Yeah. What do you like? Music? Listen to podcast or Audible? Book on tape?
Oh, man. I kind of fall over the place on this. So on the build portions, definitely podcast, Audible stuff. Actually, I don't really do audiobooks that are educational. Audiobooks I usually save for like long trips, and they're usually very fictional. Very fictional. But podcasts I for sure listen to a lot in a build portion of a workout. Any sort of charge, grind, sustain. Anytime where I'm like getting a sweat on, mostly I'm listening to music. That's where I'm at. And yes, if music or something to listen to for surezies. I have Airpods, which I love. They seem to stay in my ears pretty well in workouts. My ear rings clank against them, but yeah. I mean, I assume if I were to go to like an Anytime Fitness, I definitely want some something in my ears.
Yeah. I'm saying any type of heavy lifting, hard breathing, I like music. For high intensity conditioning work, I still like music. You start getting into the longer sustained efforts, like kind of cyclical cardio work, running, biking, rowing for long distances. I'll usually do a podcast or audiobook. And it's usually just whatever I'm listening to currently. Mm-hmm. And I'll just put that on. It definitely helps on long, like lower intensity, long aerobic sessions where it's, just keep rowing for 45 minutes or something at a pretty easy pace. That's like perfect for a good book or podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Same, I use AirPod, but the typical AirPods don't stay in my ear, so I gotta get the noise canceling ones or whatever with the little inserts on them. But those do. So I think that about wraps it up for Gym Bag. I can't. I'm sure there's other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, that kind of touches on everything.
Leggings. I could have a separate podcast on gym attire.
Yeah, that's different.
I'm a gym attire connoisseur. Yeah. So thanks for listening. If you made it this far, if you are a subscriber for Enduro Method, thank you. Hopefully you find this valuable. We'll keep putting these out every other week. If you are not a subscriber and are curious about Enduro Method, we do offer a 7-day free trial. So check that out. There's a link in our show notes. And if you have any questions, you can shoot us an email or send us a DM on our social media platform. And just check us out. I mean, off season is here. It's becoming very wintry here in Idaho, so spending a lot more time in the gym, unfortunately for us, than out on the dirt bike. All right, we'll catch you next time.
Thanks.